And then we have forums. We bill it as the nicest forums online because we have some of the greatest members of any Star Wars forum. I haven't been to the SWCA, so I'm not putting you down. I just haven't been there.
There's not bickering. No one gets mad at anyone.
Everybody's there.
Yeah.
It's almost hippie-ish.
Yeah.
Because everybody's there to have a good time and to help each other out. And you know, we don't allow any scalping in there, but people sell hard-to-find items at cost. So it's really a bunch of great people who've helped us out, and again, we try to help them out.
We also have Skype, or if you guys want to call in, leave a voicemail about something you found. We have our number is 415-508-JEDI. Sometimes Arnie sings it. We also...
To the 588 Empire, too, you know.
We also have email, which is show@swactionnews.com. We also do Twitter and Facebook. We're SW Action News on Twitter, and I am a Twitter maniac. I love Twitter.
And we're at podcast at the swca.com. We're not yet on Twitter, but I think Steve's the young one, so I think he'll get on it.
I've never used Twitter before, so I don't think we're doing that.
And we getting quite the honeydew list.
Yeah, he is. He does all the work. I do all the talking. Yeah, and then we have our Wampa line, 1-877-77-WAMPA. And that's it's you know, we had to pay extra to get that line, so we want more use from it. Although we haven't gotten too many calls, but I think after this, when you guys see how dynamic and fascinating it is, call our line.
So do you have any questions for us?
Oh,
good, there is a question.
I just want to say thanks.
Yeah.
I say thanks, my wife doesn't say thanks. She thinks you live in her house.
We hear that a lot, actually, because I enable Arnie to collect, and you can actually hear all about that Sunday at the Partners in Collecting.
This room,
Sunday. But I enable him, and I have heard from a lot of people that they end up buying things because we gave it a good review, or Arnie bought it, and that's kind of the fun, is, you know, you've got a kinship then, and, you know, sorry to
we're all spending our retirements together.
Yes. It's okay.
Yeah, there's nothing better than you're driving along the store going, oh my God, it's not the store.
Yeah, that happens. I'm excited because I actually work right now between 2 Walmart supercenters. So guess what I spend my lunch hour doing?
Not finding toys?
Yeah, not finding toys. Oh, come on. Yes.
So how many hours of work, like, a single episode do you guys find?
You guys go first.
I think for us, you know, it takes us about 2 to 3 hours to record.
Another couple hours to edit it.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time to edit. I mean, it could be that we're fairly new, but I'd say each episode takes about 6 hours if it's quick, and then 10 hours if it's long.
I think the first episode actually took 2 weeks.
Yeah, that was. We recorded it and re-recorded it. Like, all right, Steve, sound more, spontaneous when you say the same thing over and over.
Somehow we spliced 2 recordings together and made it sound like it happened at the same time. I don't know.
I'm sorry to tell you, it does not get shorter.
Really?
It doesn't. No, but
The last episode, thank you very much.
What happens is you become more of a perfectionist, and I will say, as a result of doing this for 5 years, I am a much better public speaker than I was when I started. And I get chosen to do all those speeches at work because I can whip through stuff, and I get up here and I don't and ah, because he used to yell at me for doing that, because he'd have to edit it out.
yeah, I mean, every would be about 10 minutes to cut out a single And we know there are some podcasts out there, I'm not going to name names, but they don't care enough to edit. And it shows. And when we record, I mean, how long does it take to do a show? Well, you know, we collect because we love it. I'm sure you guys do. It's hard to quantify the number of hours a week I spend reading collecting news and then jotting down notes. So that I can't quantify. What I can say is we also spend about 3 hours a week recording, a lot longer if there's interviews. And then we spend about 6 hours a week editing it and getting it all right. And then the enhanced actually takes quite a bit longer. We have a guy on our staff, Brent, who enhances for us, and he spends 10 hours a week enhancing that show. The photography, because of the enhanced podcast, also takes a couple of hours a week to get the photos.
And I've become a much better photographer over the last 5 years.
Yeah, the skills, who knew?
Yeah. It's not getting me anything, but... I just do it because I love it.
Yeah, we do it because we love it, but fortunately we have a great staff that helps us out, and I want to give a shout out to our webmaster Jason, because the web work was becoming very daunting to update that website and then we can upload all these pictures. And enhancing the podcast, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. In editing the podcast, and with the reviews and all the different segments, and when Jerry and Steve send in segments, they send them in and they are polished. And I don't have to edit those. I add a little bit of music to them, and that is it. And they do that work. But yeah, I would say honestly, every hour you listen to of us is probably 40 hours of handwork.
Yeah, I think we need a staff. Right?
And also, I want to give a shout out to Chris, our graphic designer. He often goes underappreciated.
He's the one who makes our cool badges.
He makes our badges. He made makes the logos for our site. He made some great trading cards that if you see us on the floor, we don't have enough here for everybody, but if you see us on the floor.
And if you listen to the show, there's just secret passwords.
Yeah, you listen to episode 257, and there's an extra collectible Chris designed for us. So yeah, we couldn't do it without the staff. Honestly, many times I've said we would not still be doing podcasts without the support of everybody who helps us out.
We do kind of have it staffed. We got his brother Bart, who's actually behind quite a lot more than you would think.
We call him Low Bart. He doesn't talk very much. We're going to get him more integrated in the show. He does a lot of the design. He designed the logo, and he helped me a lot with the web stuff. That's one of the main problems for me is like all the XML and all that. I didn't know how to do it. Like I wanted to do the podcast before I wanted to learn technology. So it took a long time like looking up old outdated information like, oh, RSS. Okay, I never heard of it. So.
Yeah, and I've ended up doing things like writing special programs that build my RSS feeds for me because, we do 5 shows, so it gets pretty boring to do all that RSS. We want to spend the time on the content, but it does become it's a lot of work, and there's quicker ways to do it, but we want to try to bring the quality to our shows that the collectibles sometimes bring. I can think of your clown Obi-Wan figure, not always, but we try to bring a high-polished, professional product out each time. It's really time.
Way in the back with the Yoda ears.
Well, FX Collectibles oftentimes will send us product for us to review, and then we have to send it back.
We're not rolling in collectibles. We still have to buy them. We do occasionally get review items from some companies, and due to the new laws that came into effect this year, we always did say where they came from, but we do say, this company gave this, and sometimes we've given them bad reviews. We have to be honest. I don't want someone else to waste $180 on something that they're going to be disappointed and think I cheated them out of.
Yeah, I'd say Hasbro is very kind to us with their Hasbro Q&As that we do every few weeks where you can just ask Hasbro questions and they'll answer. And the sites that do that, oftentimes, lately Hasbro's been very generous. They sent us the big ad before it was in stores so we could talk about it on all the various sites. So it's not just us. So that has happened, but not really often. Usually if you're hearing us talk about something, it's because we spent our money on it.
Yeah.
Scott, you that podcast,
Yes. Steve, when will it be done?
Figured that part out yet.
We got our microphones, so I think we're gonna do it sort of maybe after the convention's over, kind of hanging around, maybe like down by the pool, the Rosen. That'd be kind of nice. Do electrocution interviews. Yeah, what we're gonna do is, for our next one, we're just gonna give a report on all the cool things that have been sold. There have been things that have showed up here that have never been seen before. Just yesterday in a hotel room, we saw a display action stand that we have no idea where it came from, no idea where it's from. And that's, you'd think 35, whatever, how many years it's been, we've seen everything. But even here, there's new stuff. So yeah, so I think we'll be recording Saturday and Sunday, most of it on Saturday. Lacey?
Sounds right.
Good question for you guys. How difficult do you find keeping vintage toys a fresh topic for ongoing content?
I think for me, it's kind of finding a lot of the silliness in it. The retro stuff is pretty To me, it's just hilarious a lot of the times, but it's finding humor in it, I think. And also this research too.
Yeah, and I think some of it doesn't have to be fresh because, like a good example is the Japanese interview that I did. I did an interview with one of the experts who was speaking on Japanese collectibles here, and I'd never heard any, like he told us how they chose which figures they would import to sell in Japan, and he never told anybody in English as far as I know. So, I mean, he told me, and that information's been there for 30 years, and he just never told anybody. So if you ask people the right questions, if you go to people who are experts, and there's tons of experts, and for the most part, they will talk to you if you ask them. So I think it stays fresh because there's just so much information. Because it's completely international, every kind of collectible, every kind of production, everything interests us. So I'd say that's how it stays fresh. And then, of course, things like Celebration. Things keep on showing up at events, and there is such a vibrant community. And again, I'd like to really stress that if you're interested in vintage toys, you should try to collect them, in addition to modern, of course. And if you listen to our show, I think it would be a good introduction to that world.
Yeah.
What's your review of the show's exclusive hallmarks?
So far, I've only seen the one at the Celebration 5 store.
I saw them today.
You saw the other two?
Yeah.
The one at the C5 store is okay. None of the Hallmark exclusives here are
They're the keepsake ornaments.
Right.
So they're different. And I actually learned something when I made friends with the Hallmark people who are super awesome. But they actually make those blow glass ornaments that you see in Target, like the Chewbacca that looks kind of melted. That's a Hallmark product, which I didn't know, and I never really cared for it. What? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. You're probably right. I mean, it's not the keepsake ornaments. If you don't collect the Hallmark keepsake ornaments, those are incredibly beautiful and detailed. I have an entire Star Wars tree off of them. And the ornaments that they have here at Celebration are different. They're fast relief and completely different, but I'm still probably going to get them.
Yeah, I'll get them because they're exclusive, but if I saw them in
And that's a
Target,
problem he has.
if I saw them in Target, I'd probably
Right.
pass them by, honestly, because I like the keepsake ornaments. I think they're really high quality ornaments that look good as a set, and these don't fit in. Yeah.
Of the Hallmark, I only get one box of each. I do not double up on the Hallmark, and I'm not the one who has a problem with the rule of three. I buy one, and if I want two, I buy two. I have no rules. I buy what I like, and it's very free.
Although we got into the keepsake ornament game a little bit late, so we do have a bunch of we've got like 10 of the emperors of the chairs because of eBay
Well,
purchases.
no, that was my stepmom went and cleaned Hallmark out the day after Christmas for us. She was
Remember on the Christmas tree?
he's on mine, but
We keep petitioning them for a tree top, and they said never seen that.
yeah, it's not complete without that. Any other questions? I thought I saw one over here.
Oh yeah.
This is just for the podcast guys. I know you do monthly right now. Do you guys have any plans to go like bi-weekly or weekly at some point? Or we're just gonna stay monthly?
Just say no.
We're going to go weekly and 4 more podcasts? No, we're not going to do it anymore, no. I think we're going to keep it once a month, primarily because, man, it takes a lot of work.
I'll tell you, one of the worst things we ever did is said we're a weekly show.
Yeah.
Because that puts a lot of pressure on, a lot of pressure. We have not, I think, ever gone a week without a show coming out. There were 2 that we didn't personally host in 5 years, so.
Yeah, we took a week off one time. That was weird to not spend that long in the studio recording.
And again, it's like the way we envision it is kind of like a magazine, because that's what's so great about this technology, about what a podcast is that it always exists, even though it's ephemeral and you just listen to it. As long as you have it on iTunes or whatever, it can always be there. So, the idea is that after a couple of years, there'll be all these episodes and people can listen to them. But I imagine if it was once a week, it would be a lot of work. I think it works.